Create a relationship with our inner power that supports us. As we forgive and heal our internal relationship with power, we take the next step in rising by how we express our personal power. This step asks us to release our hidden agendas. We begin to express our power with integrity and authenticity. Power expressed in this manner supports and draws those around together in support of shared causes and ideas. Coming together in our authentic power multiplies what we can do. The difference for good we can make as a group, community, and more, and is expanded to express our power. Today's inspiration is provided by our own Rev Steph Amand with her talk, The Power to Create a More Beautiful World.
You were kidding. When I look at you, my heart starts beating faster. One heartbeat. Right? So in true Steffi fashion, this was not the title that I was given, or the talk that was provided in the notes by Centers for Spiritual Living. They're going through stuff. And so this talk in the notes was all about very, like how to vote consciously. So but this room already knows how to vote consciously. Right? So I was like, you know what? Centers for Spiritual Living as an organization, its vision is a world that works for everyone. And that's a both lofty goal and something that's already been accomplished. Because we are the living expression of infinite oneness. And so the world that is working for everyone. So I changed it. The power to create a more beautiful world. And I really want to wire this mic. My goodness. So we've been talking all month about power to the people, right? And I'm not sure we've really stepped on or touched upon what that power is. What it really is. What is the power? And I think about this power. Because, true, we have a power, right? There's tons of songs about it. I've got the power. Right? There's tons of songs about power and how we can use it. But on a spiritual plane of existence, let's touch upon the power. I think about if I just do this little tiny piece of me. It's an eyelash. It doesn't take up much space. And all around that, I really do have an eyelash on my finger, just so you know. Just so you know. It doesn't take up a lot of space. And then I want to think about all the space it doesn't take up and yet is still in existence. There's still all of the space it's not. So, it's the same with now I have to make a wish. Yeah. I wished for a more beautiful world. So, to deeply understand the power that is within us, we need to understand the power. The power that is infinite and eternal, is absolute and infallible. It is everywhere present, and whether or not I exist, my awareness exists, there is something that is forever. And this power is what I call God, or divine. My favorite is intelligent presence, because there's got to be something more intelligent than me. I've made some stuff happen that was unintelligent. And so there's this power that is supporting the entire universe, all the space in between the spaces, all the times, and all the not times. It's life, it's power, it's presence. It cannot be stopped. And it is energy. Everything is energy. Energy is consciousness, consciousness is energy, everything is energy. So the power of this one little eyelash that is now somewhere on the stage forever, even in this moment will live on for eternity. Because as I stand here, there is a vibration, an energy. All of my energy knows how to wake up as Steph every single morning. I don't need to turn on something when I open my eyes and make sure all the pieces of me are still together. That's power. That's intelligence. That's presence. That's intelligent presence. And I only take up this amount of space. Now look at all the bodies in this room today. We're all vibrating at frequencies so that our intelligent mind, the mind that is within us, our brains even, can interact with one another. We're vibrating at this realm of experience so that I can see your faces and feel your energy. I can feel your energy. And you can feel my energy. Everything is energy. And now think about all the space we're not taking up right now. Out there, infinitely, without limits, without borders, without boundaries, beyond the stars that we can see, all the space. It's power. So instead of thinking about power to the people, because we've got the power, but we have this presence within us. So what if we change it to power through the people? Because it is what we want in the world around us. It's how we act, it's how we participate, it's how we engage. That we are sharing our energy and our experience. And the moment that I am here now is for eternity, because I am vibrating forever. There's all the little pieces of me that have walked in this door how many times, just this week alone. Still phasing in and through this whole field of existence. Isn't that magnificent? The spaces you have been, the places you have gone, the hearts that you have touched. You're so powerful. You're so powerful. And it's the divine power that is moving through you that is engaged in this life. It is holy and sacred and good. That's what you are. And when we get to show up as our authentic expressions, right? Our vision, our mission, our purpose here. We're here to find our true potential, live our true potential, express our true potential, and help others do the same. That's why we're here. And so, Wes says to me this morning, "Are you ready to do your talk?" And I paused. He's like, "Oh, there's a pause there. Are you ready to do your talk?" I'm like, "I've got 6 talks going on in my head right now. I want to do all of them." Do you guys have a couple hours? Yeah. So the power to create a more beautiful world is right where you are. The power to create a more beautiful world is in you if it's yours to do. And it doesn't have to be huge and magnanimous. It can be bringing flowers and decorations to our new tables because the season has changed. Thanks, Bev, for that. The season has changed. So, yes. Beauty and grace right here. So, we don't have to do much to make a better world. We don't have to do much. I trapped my brother-in-law on my roof on a really windy day a couple weeks ago. I did. I turned for a second, and the ladder was on the floor, and I can't move the ladder right now, and no one else was home. So there's my brother up on the roof, two-story home, and he's like, "Is Tammy inside?" I'm like, no, Tammy's not inside. He's like, okay, I'll throw down my keys. We'll figure something out. You know, there's something we can do. And so by the time I got to the car, I turned, and my neighbor, just 2 doors down, was working outside. And I said, "Neighbor, do you have time to be neighborly?" And he came over, and he helped me get the ladder up, and I was not letting go of that thing twice, that's for sure. That's for sure. Now that neighbor didn't think twice about making my world more beautiful. Didn't think twice about it. I said, yeah, I can help. I can do that. And it's the little things that we can do to make a world more beautiful. It's holding the door open for the person who's coming up behind you. Stopping the elevator, right? When you're at a medical center of 8 floors and you just put your foot there. That's all it takes. It just takes action. It just takes a little bit of action. And so, knowing that you have the power, that there's something inside of you, and you want a more beautiful world, and you want to feel that power, you want to engage in it, you want to do good work, because there's something inside of you that calls us. There's something inside of us that calls us to be better, or none of us would be better. I remember being 4 and having temper tantrums. God, I remember being 33 and having temper tantrums. Right? So when we know better, we do better. And this is key to a more beautiful world. Socrates. Now, Socrates. Let's just put this into perspective. I'm going to read a quote from Socrates, who passed away, transitioned in 399 BC. I've got his wisdom right here. 399 BC. Crazy. And he was saying our stuff, right? He said, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. So Socrates was the master of questioning. He was the pioneer of critical thinking. Critical thinking. He championed self-inquiry in a pursuit of wisdom through dialogue and conversation. And he is best known for this statement, which I say to myself almost all the time. Didn't know it was Socrates. Thought it was my friend Joe. All I know is that I know nothing. That's power. Being able to say, I don't know. That's power. So, if the secret to change is to focus our energy on what we want, and not focus our energy on the old stuff that isn't working. We need to know what we want, and we need to focus our energy on building the new. And A More Beautiful World, Our Hearts Know Is Possible, is a book by Charles Eisenstein. And he said in his book, we need a story of the people, a real one, that doesn't feel like fantasy, in which a more beautiful world is once again possible. We're not quite ready for such a story yet, because the old one, though it tatters, still has large swaths of fabric intact. And even when these unravel, we still must traverse naked in the space between the stories. In the turbulent times ahead of our familiar ways of acting, thinking, and being will no longer make sense. We won't know what is happening, what it means, and sometimes even what is real. Here's the good news, he says. Some people have entered that time already. I bet some of them are in this room right now. Is it you? Are you ready for a new story, a more beautiful world? So we can write a new story. I also have this little pamphlet here. This is a transcribed sermon by Ernest Holmes, taking a page from Elizabeth here. I got some Ernest Holmes in my hand here. And I wanted to read the whole thing, but we don't have time for that. But again, what was happening in 399 BC? When wisdom was being shared in rooms like this, conversations were being had in rooms like this. Actually, not rooms like this. Sitting on a rock outside. Under a tree, yeah. At a temple that was just floor and pillars, stones, and dust. Wow. So in 1959, it was a Saturday, and it was summer, but it was at a Sillamar, so it was cold. They were wearing jackets for sure. But 1959. So think about that, just for a second. The space and time they were taking up. A group of people that gathered as religious scientists to speak and to gather. So he starts off in the beginning. There is nothing in the world that can take the place of love, friendship, appreciation, and cooperation in our lives. There is nothing, let me say this again, there is nothing in the world that can take the place of love, friendship, appreciation, and cooperation in our lives. We try to fill ourselves when we're struggling, when we're in pain. We try to find external things in our lives to replace the love we feel is lacking. But remember where the power is. Remember where the power is. So we have a teaching here. It's religious science, science of mind. We like to change words. They have the same meaning. In the agreements, the 4 agreements, it reminds us that we have an agreement right now. I'm speaking English and you all understand what I'm saying, for the most part. You might not be. You're hearing English words for sure. I don't know if you're understanding what I'm saying. I hope. But we have agreed that word means word and page means page. We have agreements in that. So we have agreements in this philosophy. And there are these beautiful principles that we discuss, and we take classes and we learn and we try to do that self-inquiry, right? But we have agreements. And so this beautiful gentleman named Ernest Holmes is the founder of religious science. And he says great things all the time. So like that person, right? Like Charles Eisenstein said, some people have entered that time already. Some people have entered that time already. And Ernest Holmes, in 1959, on the beach, He was sitting on the beach. It would be wonderful indeed if a group of persons should arrive on earth who were for something and against nothing. This would be some mum bonum of human organization, wouldn't it? So Ernest Holmes was an intellectual, and he was talking to intellectuals, and so he chose to use Latin instead of saying ultimate good. Right? So, for something, against nothing, that would be ultimate good. It is in the life of the individual. We can have this in the life of the individual. He said, find me one person who is for something and against nothing, who is redeemed enough not to condemn others out of the burden of his soul, and I will find another Savior, another Jesus, another exalted human being. Find me one person who no longer has any fear of the universe, or of God, or of man, or of anything else, and you will have brought to me someone in whose presence we may sit, and fear shall vanish as clouds before the sunlight. Find me someone who has redeemed his own soul, and he shall become my Redeemer. Find me someone who has given all that he has in love without morbidity, and I will have found the lover of my soul. Is this not true? Why? Because he will have revealed to me the nature of God and proved to me the possibility of all human souls. What we know here is what I do for myself, I do for everyone. There is only one. He says this is what religious science stands for. It is not a new dogmatism. It is not a new authority generated from a new alleged revelation of the God who never revealed anything to anyone as such, else he could not have revealed all things to all people. There is no special dispensation of providence, but there is a specialized dispensation, which the great and the good and the wise and just have known, even though they knew it intuitively. You ever feel like you're having a conversation with the divine? Find me one person who can get his own limitless. Find me one person who can get his own limitlessness out of the way. Littleness. I was like, that sentence didn't make sense. Find me one person who can get his own littleness out of the way, and he shall reveal to me the immeasurable magnitude of the universe in which I live. Find me one person who knows how to talk to God, really, and I shall walk with him through the woods, and everything that seems innate will respond. The leaves of the trees will clap their hands, and the grass will grow soft under him. Find me one person who communes with cause and effect, and in the evening star will sing to him, and the darkness will turn to light. Through him, as the woman who touched the hem of the garment of Christ was healed, shall I be healed of all my loneliness forever. Find me someone who is no longer sad, whose memory has been redeemed from morbidity, and I shall hear laughter. Find me someone whose song is really celestial, because it is the outburst of the cosmic urge to sing, and I shall hear the music of the spheres. But how, I'm going to skip stuff, but how we have put off that day. We say to each other that we don't know enough, we aren't good enough. Can you imagine someone doesn't think they're enough? Oh, I know. Because I've been there. The ignorance of our unknowing, the blindness darkness of our unseen, the condemnation of the ages weighing against our consciousness, known and unknown, conscious and unconscious, has created the greatest possibility of the larger progress of humanity, a burden so tremendous that even men's adoration of God has been saddened by fear. Find me one person who no longer doubts, no longer wavers, but not one with a proclamation of superiority says, "Look at me, I've arrived." I will not listen to that. Only that which reveals me to myself can be a message to me. Only that which gives me back myself can save me. Only that which leads me to the God within myself can reveal God. And only that person can do it to whom the vision has come through his own efforts, through the gift of God. Of course, the grace of God abounds by divine givingness. God has forever hung himself upon the cross of men's indifference. God has forever, but without suffering, given himself, but we have not received the gift. Find me one person who has so completely divorced himself of all arrogance, and you will have discovered for me an open pathway to the kingdom of God here and now. Find me somebody who has detached his emotional and psychological ego from the real self without having to deny the place it plays in the scheme of things, and without slaying any part of themselves, because the transcendence is there also, and I will have discovered the ineffable in this individual and a direct pathway for the communion of my own soul. There's so much more in all of that. There are classes based on this one sermon that take 8 weeks. And here we think we need to change the world overnight. That we need to heal ourselves of all of our past experiences today. But it's really a remembering that there's nothing healed because there's nothing broken. We are remembering that we are divine. We are remembering who we are. We are remembering the source of our being. We are remembering the power that is greater than we are. And that we have the power to create a more beautiful world just by simply showing up for ourselves in a unique and unrepeatable expression and trusting that wisdom, that glory, that grace, that holy thing is expressing itself perfectly, exactly as all of the pieces of you. All the sticky stuff, all the sweet stuff, all the fumbles. I mean, football teams fumble all the time. We still cheer for them. Right? So here we are. The power to create a more beautiful world is in you right now. The power to create a more beautiful life is the intention and energy you give it. Whatever it is you want to show up in your life, you have the power within you. Thanks for listening. I love you very much.